You want to break the brain of a libtard, the progressive extremist? All you must do is ask them this one question.
Why? 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 Why?
Once you do that, you will see their head explode and watch a mental meltdown. Let's talk about it. So, fun fact about me, I've mentioned before, back in high school, I was on the debate team. Personally, undefeated, because I use a tactic that is sorely lacking and used rarely nowadays, and that is using their logic against them. You see, what the dumbass extremists like to do is name call, use these words that elicit very strong negative emotions. You know, you're a phobic, you're an ist, or you're a Nazi, you're something, without providing a shred of evidence. They do that in public settings. They do it on social media sites and in videos. They call their ideological enemies all these things without providing a shred of evidence. That's what they do. They rarely debate their opponents, their ideological opposites, in person, live, because they have no desire to be embarrassed. And that's exactly what would happen to them. And it would happen to them with a very simple three-letter word, or in my case, when I'm shorthand texting, one letter.
Why? 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 Why?
Why? You see, what happens is a lot of times when they attack normies or attack reasonable people, they do what I mentioned a moment ago. They throw these words out. They throw these extreme terms out. And what it usually does is it puts the person that they're arguing against on the defensive. You are not defending yourself against these words. You're now saying things like, I'm not that, or I'm not this, or I'm... When all you must do is stop and ask them, why do you say I'm that? Why do you call me that? Why?
Well, we're waiting.
Because it's on them to prove it. They came with it, it's on them to prove it. Prove why. And they rarely can, and rarely, if ever. I use, for example, a professor was talking to a student about J.K. Rowling. The student started off very arrogant, as most of these young kids do, and the professor completely defused him by doing what I did on the debate team when they had a back and forth, or what I do in my personal life. Check it out.
So these guys want to talk about J.K. Rowling? Is that so? What's going on with that? What do you want to know?
She's had a pretty controversial past. I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts on it? And, like, do you still like her work despite her bigoted opinions?
Now, see right there, the student isn't even coming into this on good faith. He's already made up his mind. Do you still like her with her bigoted opinions? Now watch how the professor handles this, because he handles it exactly how I have and exactly how I would.
So let's get specific though. Let's define bigoted opinions. What opinions are bigoted? We're going to treat this as a thought experiment. I'm not going to say what's right or wrong or which way to think. The whole point is to learn how to think, not what to think.
Right there. That is why you will always beat those mental extremists, the libtards, those dumbasses that believe that there is never enough diversity and every black person is a victim. This is why you will always beat them. because you will make them think critically. You won't tell them what to think one way or the other. You're going to take them down a thought path and have them defend themselves and why they think the way they do.
Yeah.
So when you say bigot, you're starting with the conclusion that given her bigoted opinions.
Yeah.
So first, let's start with, does she have bigoted opinions? So when you say bigoted opinions,
She has had a history of being extremely transphobic, I've heard.
you've heard. So what? Can you give me an example?
If you look at her Twitter, I think you could see a few things. If you want, I could try and find
See
something.
if you can find. See if you can find one.
So, one of these tweets that she came out with in 2019, she said, "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real."
So you find that bigoted? What do you find about
It was
in there?
It was deemed transphobic. I myself,
Do you find that transphobic yourself?
I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm just going with what a lot of other people have said.
You see what happened? He doesn't find it transphobic. It's what the other people said. This was the foundation of free mind thinkers. This is the foundation. This conversation, even though this conversation's had way after my brothers and I came up with this channel, this was the point. You see, my brothers and I got tired of being looked at as victims. Oh, they're black, have pity on them. Or we got tired of people assuming how we thought or what our politics were based on our skin color. It was annoying. It was annoying as hell. And that's how free mind thinkers started. The same way that this professor now has this student going, let's continue.
So let's pause there. Let's not go with what other people are saying. Let's try and learn how to critically think. So let's analyze the tweet ourselves. So that statement, do you see anything problematic? Disregarding other people's opinions.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
She did try and pin some things on a specific group of people.
You see what happened there? Because now he knows that what he's been told and what he's heard is bullshit. And he's still trying to hold on and stay with the most abundant crowd. Not the right thought. Not what he truly believes. He is trying to hang with the popular crowd. You know, the lefties. He's trying to hang with them. Oh, I don't want to answer this honestly because I might have my leftist card revoked. Free mind thinkers. Free. Be free.
Where does she do that? Can you read that?
But force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real.
So when I hear that, I'm interpreting that as meaning if a woman says that, saying that there's a difference between men and female and then being attacked as transphobic, I think that's what she's saying by attacking someone for stating that sex is real.
That is exactly what she's saying.
Is that transphobic to you?
So, to me, no. Stating that sex is real is not transphobic. It's just a fact of life. It exists.
I submit to you that you are naughty and that logically you must destroy yourself.
So is there anything you disagree with in that tweet?
In that tweet, I can't really see anything that I myself disagree with, but I can see why some people would think, oh, this is offensive. We can't have that here or something, because...
Sure.
There's an apology tweet.
Let's read that. What did she say there? I haven't read that.
I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it is hateful to say so.
You see anything problematic there?
She's apologizing, so No, not really. If I could read it again.
It sounds like a very similar statement as what she was just saying. She's basically saying, like, I have nothing, to me, this is what I interpret it as, I have nothing against someone being trans.
Exactly.
It's your life, but you just don't get to impose on you can live how you want, I can live how I want.
Yeah.
And let's all,
Exactly.
That poor kid is not realizing that all his beliefs are based on bullshit. He let an oversensitive person take a tweet, interpret it how they wanted to, and impose their interpretation on everybody else instead of, y'all know my thing, take the emotion out of it, look at it logically. What has she said that was wrong? What part of what she says don't you agree with? If you're going to call her transphobic or whatever you can call her, what part of her tweets showed that she's transphobic?
So I guess now that we're looking at it like, oh, there's not much difference between me or her. Do you think it's fair that that she's being attacked by a large group of people and people are calling her, like you said at the beginning of this conversation, you said, given the fact that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, how do you feel about Harry Potter? Now, retroactively looking at that statement, do you think that was the best way to phrase?
No, I feel like an idiot now.
Son of a bitch!
It's okay though, but this is why we do this, to learn how to think.
And there we have it. It really is that simple. That's why we do it, to critically think. I want people to constantly be able to think for themselves. And I'm not afraid to ruffle feathers. I'm not afraid to piss people off. Hell, I've been pissing people off since I've been able to go to school. In some way, form, or fashion, I've been able to piss people off. Call it my superpower. So why stop now? Yet, no matter how many times things like this happen, I guarantee you that once that student got back with his group, that they convinced him that the professor was some kind of trickster, he was some kind of mental manipulator, and they got him back in the groupthink. That's the way they operate. Even with someone as, I guess, pseudo-famous as Jemele Hill. Jemele Hill had a problem with something that The Rock said. I want you to check it out for yourselves, and we're going to stay in the whole why aspect of it. So check out what The Rock said.
2020, are you happy with the state of America?
Am I happy with the state of America right now? Well, that answer is no. Do I believe we're going to get better? I believe in that. I'm an optimistic guy, and I believe we can get better. The endorsement that I made years ago with Biden was one I thought was the best decision for me at that time. And I thought back then, when we talk about, hey, I'm in this position where I have some influence, and it's my job then. I felt like that then. It's my job now to exercise my influence and share with this is who I'm going to endorse.
He chose poorly.
Am I going to do that again this year? That answer is no. I'm not going to do that, because what I realized, and I didn't realize it back then, Will, but I realize it today. And back then, just like I am today, very lucky, I was then the most followed American man in the world, and I am today the most followed American man in the world, and I appreciate that. But I also realized that what that caused back then was something that tears me up in my guts back then and now, which is division. And that got me, and I didn't realize it then. I just thought, hey, our country feels like there's a lot of unrest. It feels like I would like things to calm down. Maybe we need a change. This is what I'm going to do, and this is who I'm going to endorse. The takeaway after that, months and months and months, I started to realize, like, oh man, that caused an incredible amount of division in our country. So I realize now, going into this election, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't do that, because my goal is to bring our country together. I believe in that in my DNA. So in the spirit of that, there's going to be no endorsement. Not that I'm afraid of it at all, but it's just I realize that this level of influence, I'm going to keep my politics to myself.
You have chosen wisely.
And I think it's between me and the ballot box. But I will tell you this. While, like a lot of us out there, not trusting of all politicians, I do trust the American people, and I trust that whoever they vote for that's going to be my president, and that's who I'm going to support 100%.
That was simple and very basic. Simple, basic. That's it. But if you listen to Jemele Hill, you think that this man is walking around carrying Trump on his shoulder. Check out what Jemele Hill had to say.
That is the most statement, non-statement I've ever heard. And I love Dwayne Johnson. Like, you know, during my time at ESPN, if you ask people the number one person who they felt like when they did the car wash was like the best person that came through there in terms of like how they interacted with people, how nice they were, it was easily The Rock, or number two would be Kevin Hart. And that's the kind of, frankly, political cowardice that's hard to respect. I don't understand how Joe Biden is the divisive one when what he's running against is pushing bigotry, xenophobia, every other phobia and ism you could possibly name.
What the hell are you talking about?
That is what they're literally campaigning on. Joe Biden is not campaigning on those same things. And so I don't even understand how Joe Biden got attacked for being the one who's dividing people.
Bitch, what'd I just say?
If he wants to stop the division, then he shouldn't at all make it seem like he is aligned with the side that is pushing only division. That's their entire agenda. They have no policy.
This bitch can't be serious.
On the entire thing that they have is to get you to hate somebody else that you perceive is lower on the totem pole than you.
Do you even listen to yourself when you talk?
And so even though he said he was going to keep his ballot to himself, he actually didn't, because there's only one other person who will be the presidential nominee. So unless you plan to write in yourself or plan to vote for Donald Trump, you've made your decision that you are voting for xenophobia and bigotry and all these other things that you claim to stand against.
It was a jump to conclusions.
So I just thought that wasn't his best moment. And it was so unnecessary too, because I don't know, I wasn't going around wondering who The Rock was voting for. So I don't know why he decided he needed to share that.
Are you done? Are you done?
Well, let's stop it right there. Let's break it down. Why do you believe that he's voting for Trump? He said he was going to keep his ballot to himself. What he said was he wasn't going to give any endorsement. That's what he was referring to. He said, I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm keeping my politics to myself.
I'm stating facts, 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 facts.
So why do you believe that he's automatically voting for Trump? How do you believe he's not just going to simply abstain from this election?
Good question.
Because y'all heard what he said at the end, that he believes in the American people. Whoever they vote for, that's who his president is. I can interpret that as he's going to abstain.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
She took it the direct opposite way. Why? And let's talk about something else you said. Why do you believe that Donald Trump is promoting bigotry and xenophobia? Show me where.
Show me the money!
Don't give me any long explanation about the bullshit. Show me exactly where he's promoting bigotry and xenophobia. Where?
I would like to see it.
Like I said, the question is why. And the why, when you ask these people, always leads to a double standard. The double standard here being, you said you don't care who you didn't want to know who The Rock voted for. Well, that should have been the entire interview. That should have been your entire response.
Yeah, that was it. That's it.
If you really didn't care, your entire response would have been, I don't give a damn who The Rock votes for or who he promotes. End of story. If you genuinely didn't care, that's where it should have began and where it should have ended. But now you care because he's not promoting your guy.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Don't think we didn't hear it. Well, if you're not going to support this, if you're not... Oh, so what I heard right there at the beginning of that was, if he did come out support Biden, you'd give a damn about who The Rock supported then, right?
Gotcha, bitch.
But, like I said, if you want to break them down, ask why. Throw in a couple of more questions. How?
How? How?
What?
What the hell is even that?
You know. But it always starts with the why.
Why are you doing this?
And that one word, that one letter, will cause them such mental anguish, and they would have to do mental gymnastics to prove their point that would get them a gold medal in the Woke Olympics. Well, that's all I got for now. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, holler at your man, love me or hate me, share me out there, and let's get a conversation started. This is your man, Big Brother Tucker, telling you always, stand up, stand out, think differently. Holla.